1 Kings 13, Philippians 4, Ezekiel 43, and Psalms 95 and 96. Since we missed most of Philippians over the weekend, we're going to jump to Philippians 4. It's a great book. If you have been reading with us and you kept reading over the weekend and you've gone through, and today's last chapter of the Philippians, you know that Paul has been writing this book from prison, and it's a book of joy. And you think those are big contradictions, and yet he walks us through it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful book. And so we're going to read a little bit from chapter 4, starting in verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again I will say, rejoice. Let your reasonableness be known to everyone. The Lord is at hand. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. Rejoicing and giving thanks. Highlighting here some things of the Christian life that are to distinguish, are to set us apart. It's not just having a bunch of rules that we follow, but because of what Jesus has done, joy comes to us and for us. We are at peace with God. There should be a reasonableness to our lives, is what he's saying. Let it be known, right? That you're not this wave and you're stable, because your trust is not in the situation and your hope is not in the government. Your plans are not based on the stock market, but your trust is in the Lord. And so rejoice and don't be anxious. He says, don't be anxious about some things. Don't be anxious about only the big things. No. Don't be anxious about anything. Instead, pray about it. Let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God. Notice it doesn't say, after you pray about it, the answer comes, and then the peace of God. It says, in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And just that act of releasing and turning it over, that you're declaring and saying, and you're offering it back to the Lord, that thing that you are trying to hold on to and be anxious for and about. And as you give thanks that God's going to intervene, that God's going to work, there comes the peace of God. It doesn't talk about the answer necessarily. It just talks about the perspective that we're to have as believers. Finally, brothers, verse 8, what is true, what is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's anything excellent, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. That's the motto. That's the filter in and for our lives. The Philippian filter. We allow things in, but get filtered out if they don't measure up to this standard. Like, that's a lot. That's not going to let a lot of things in. I know. And it's probably one that we need to put a verse and have it available to us and for us, so that we are reminded over and over that our lives are different. Our minds are being transformed. And one of the ways that they are transformed by the renewing of our mind is because we're putting it on things that are honorable and worthy and pure and just, rather than those other things that are found in the world. And so what we pay attention to matters. What we allow in matters. He's going to continue there and talk about contentment, and talked about how he learned to be content. It just didn't happen for him. It was a learned behavior. So that he can say in verse 13, which often is just separated unto itself, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. You can do all things because you're content. And it's through Christ who strengthens. What a great book. Hope you take the time to read it and dwell upon it and think deeply over it. Till next time, keep growing little by little.